The day was nothing short of a nightmare. Everything seemed to be going wrong, and now I had to make my way to the West Suburban Distribution Center to collect a load of brochures for an upcoming trade show. I enlisted the help of Kevin, a young mailroom clerk in his 20s who was more brawn than brains, and we took off in a company van. 15 minutes later, we found ourselves at a stoplight when my companion exclaimed, "Whoa, that is one hot ride!" I glanced to the left and spotted a fire truck's vibrant red Mustang GT convertible idling at the traffic light. The striking blonde driver caught my attention right away. It was my beloved wife, Lisa. As the light shifted to green, she pressed the accelerator, and the car roared through the intersection. What on earth was she doing around here? I pondered as I made a right turn on red and started to pursue her. As I drove the unremarkable white delivery van, I felt no concern about being spotted and maintained a steady distance behind. "Is there a camera on your phone?" "Of course, Mr. Carter, just as everyone else does," my assistant responded. "Excellent. I'd like you to capture every moment that the blonde engages in. Ensure that she remains unaware of your presence." About a mile later, the convertible rolled into the Paradise Motor Inn, a shabby motel in need of some care. It stood as a genuine remnant from the 1950s, featuring a balcony that extended the entire length of the second floor. Lisa eased her vehicle to a halt at a sliding window, pausing briefly before continuing to the far end of the building. She maneuvered her vehicle into a spot beside a gleaming silver Lexus. "Venture out and capture some intimate details, but be discreet." Kevin jumped out, and I maneuvered the van into the adjacent strip shopping center. I found a spot in their back lot next to the garbage dumpsters. I observed that Lisa was dressed in the same understated gray business suit she wore earlier today, though the black blouse was unbuttoned, revealing quite a bit. As Lisa was raising the top, a man in a sports coat stealthily approached her from behind. He twirled her around and started kissing her as if they were eager lovers longing for a second chance. I felt compelled to take action. An absurd notion crossed my mind. I wonder how she would react if I asked her to join me for lunch. I retrieved my cell phone and dialed her number. The unmistakable sound echoed through the lot. Lisa glanced at the caller ID, raising her index finger to her lips in a silent gesture to hush her partner. She didn't even acknowledge my presence. "This moment is not ideal. I'm currently engaged in a significant meeting and will reach out to you this afternoon." She ended the call before I could utter my final farewell and return to her charming suitor. Something broke. I lost my sanity. Anger filled every fiber of my being. My spirit yearned for retribution. The end of the marriage brought unexpected relief. Only their demise would bring me solace. I made up my mind to chase them down with the van. I maneuvered out of the parking space, positioning myself for a direct line of sight at the troublemakers. As I positioned myself to slam them against the side of the Ford, a woman with 2 children emerged from a first-floor room and started packing a car trunk just a few spaces away. Frustration bubbled within me as I struck the steering wheel, my hands throbbing from the relentless pounding. I couldn't bring myself to do that in front of the little ones. As the weight of the double murder I was about to commit settled in, tears began to flow uncontrollably. I observed the unfaithful couple ascend the stairs, entwined in each other's grasp, heading towards their secret hideaway. I felt the urge to confront them, yet my legs refused to obey. I felt utterly defeated. A moment later, the door banged shut, a "Do Not Disturb" sign swinging from the doorknob. Just when I hit rock bottom, fate threw me a lifeline. I felt my hand glide over my pocket, and it dawned on me that I possessed a set of keys for the Mustang. In that moment, clarity struck me with undeniable force. Kevin hopped into the van and replied, "Understood, boss." I was right there, able to catch every word they uttered. He glanced my way and said, "Hey, this is really bad, isn't it?" I was able to express, "Yes, Kevin, this situation is quite dire, but you're going to assist me in transforming the dynamic." "All right, however that is interpreted." "You're in charge," he responded. Excellent. Please take the van and follow my lead. I'll be in the sleek vehicle. We'll pause briefly before our pickup and then return to the office. You must vow that you won't utter a single word of this to anyone. There's no need to worry, I'm totally fine, he responded. To avoid drawing my wife's attention with the tuned exhaust, I quietly shifted the car into neutral and rolled it into the shopping center's lot before starting the engine. Thoughts were swirling rapidly in my head. I was utterly astonished. I believed our marriage was truly wonderful. The reality had struck me hard. My wife was an unfaithful partner. As I focused on the road, tears streamed down my face. I reached out to a reliable friend who had a quaint little farm on the outskirts of town. What truly stood out was the large pole barn. Randy, David, I have a request for you, though I can't go into details right now. 20 minutes later, the exhilarating journey was securely concealed beneath a tarp in the barn. Upon returning to the office, Kevin transferred his video to my laptop and proceeded to create several additional copies. I handed him a $50 bill and expressed my gratitude. Thank you, my friend. If you require anything, you know how to reach me. After that, I made my way downstairs to consult with our IT specialist. Brian, I'm facing an issue and I trust you can assist me. I possess a license plate and require comprehensive information about the owner at the earliest opportunity. Mr. Carter, we typically don't engage in activities of that nature. Well, it's technically against the rules, but Kevin reached out and mentioned that you were all right. 15 minutes later, Brian appeared in my office, a grin spreading across his face. I reached out to a friend at the DMV who checked the plates for me. From that point onward, everything fell into place. This individual's spouse shares every detail on Facebook. He presented me with a comprehensive dossier on Alan Macquarie. It's unfortunate for Macquarie that I also possessed his wife's email address and phone number. Finding an attorney to draft divorce papers in just a couple of hours proved to be quite a challenge, yet I managed to locate one. Putting together a respectable petition for dissolution of marriage cost double his usual $300 per hour fee, but it was worth it. It was disheartening to look back on 5 years of marriage and come to the conclusion that, with no children and a heavily burdened mortgage, there wasn't much left to argue about, primarily pre-owned furnishings. We reside in a state where divorce can occur without assigning blame, nonetheless. I stood my ground regarding the issue of infidelity. A couple of pictures were included, one capturing a kiss and the other showing them walking into the hotel room. Wow. Kevin really wasn't exaggerating when he mentioned he got close. By 4 p.m., I held 2 copies that had been stamped by the clerk of the circuit court. The details of her relationship with Macquarie had become widely known. Feeling unproductive at work, I spent my time following my attorney's advice to cancel our credit cards and joint checking and savings accounts. At that moment, the lovers stepped onto the balcony, undoubtedly weary, yet reveling in the warmth of 5 hours spent in secret together. They strolled together toward the parking lot, grinning as if nothing could trouble them. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. Beside Macquarie's Lexus, there was an absence of any parked vehicles. Lisa's eyes widened as she scanned the parking lot, her voice rising in panic as she exclaimed, "My car has been stolen!" This was quickly followed by a chorus of disbelief. "This can't be happening to me. If we involve the authorities, they'll likely question why you were stationed in a hotel parking area." Wow, they really put their heads together. Macquarie devised a strategy. We need to head to a bustling eatery, one filled with plenty of vehicles. Next, you contact the authorities and report that it was taken while you were enjoying your lunch. And I have the perfect spot in mind. It's perpetually overexposed. Macquarie took them to a restaurant located roughly 5 miles from their starting point. Regrettably, neither anticipated the quiet period that falls between the lunch rush and the dinner crowd. The lot contained merely a few cars. Time has slipped away, and I must return to my responsibilities. Simply inform the police that you had lunch and parked your car here before heading to the mall or a similar destination. I will return at the earliest opportunity. He leaned in for a kiss, but she recoiled. Lisa felt a surge of frustration as the charming rogue left her to confront the authorities by herself. Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone to call for help. After a brief wait of 10 minutes, a squad car pulled up to take her statement. Like every other night, I reached out to Lisa as soon as I arrived home. Yet, this evening's call went directly to voicemail. I sent a cordial note. No need to reveal too much. Hello, dear. Kindly inform me if you will arrive punctually for dinner. She failed to respond to the call. I reached out once more at 5:30 and left a message requesting a call back so I could plan dinner accordingly. By 6, my frustration was mounting, and I decided to call again. Lisa truly responded. Oh, David, my stunning car was taken from the parking lot of a restaurant. She wept bitterly. Where might you be? I'll be there shortly. Negative. She truly shouted no. The authorities have arrived and I'm managing the situation. She found herself engulfed in a whirlwind of anxiety. Where are you so I can come to your aid? I extended my offer. The officer wishes to have a conversation with me. I must take my leave. She ended the call on me for the second time today. I found myself dining solo this evening. The stillness was pierced only by the vision of her expression upon discovering that her cherished possession had vanished. I imagine that had certainly cleared her thoughts after the intimacy. In that moment, laughter escaped me. At approximately 7, a silver Lexus pulled up at the end of the block. It executed a 3-point turn in the driveway before coming to a halt. I watched as Lisa stepped out and started the lengthy journey home while he drove off. As she approached, I noticed her blouse was fastened completely up to the collar. She remained oblivious to my presence on the front porch until she had passed a couple of doors down. Why didn't your boyfriend take you to the front of the house? I inquired. Partner? She felt a surge of anxiety. Absolutely not, that's just absurd. No, he's a colleague of mine. I believe he is one of the sales representatives. She hesitated in her speech. Why didn't he take you home so I could express my gratitude to him properly? I inquired with a sense of naivety. Lisa started rambling on about him being tardy for an event and how he couldn't seem to halt his pace. Why are you interrogating me? Do you not realize that today has been exceptionally difficult for me? Kindly give me some space. All I managed to say as we entered was a simple, okay. She sank onto the couch. I'm eager to hear all about your significant meeting. How did you manage to escape to a restaurant for such an extended lunch? I inquired. No, we had a late break and she began to stammer. The doorbell cut through her response. Just a moment, I remarked as I swung the door open. I had a brief conversation with the police officer before guiding him over to my wife. He gazed at her and inquired, Are you Constance Carter? Her hands trembled visibly as she gave a nod of agreement. I belong to Detective O'Connor. I would like to discuss your auto theft report with you. A discrepancy seems to exist concerning the location of the car's parking at the time it was stolen. I feigned ignorance and inquired of Lisa, what is he referring to? Lisa reacted by vomiting all over the rug. I hurried to the bathroom and returned with a wastebasket and a roll of paper towels. Lisa sank into the chair as I tidied up the chaos she left behind. Upon completing my task, I came back with a refreshing glass of cold water. Silence enveloped the detective, his lips sealed tight. He utterly unnerved her with the way he loomed over her while she took a sip. I positioned myself beside him, arms folded across my chest. Mrs. Carter, may I have your consent to record this interview? The officer inquired. I suppose that's the case. I responded with pure innocence. Thanks a lot. Let us commence from the very start. The restaurant offers complimentary valet service, yet the attendant insists he did not park your vehicle. He's quite the enthusiast and mentioned he would definitely recall if your vehicle was parked in his lot. He started unleashing a barrage of inquiries. Who served you at your table? Where were you located? Could you please provide the receipt for the charge card? Were you accompanied by someone who could attest to your presence? Mrs. Carter, could you clarify how it is that no one noticed you or your uniquely identifiable vehicle? Lisa's response was almost inaudible to me. Absolutely not, sir. He took a moment for emphasis, then flipped through his notes before continuing his questioning. After lunch, you mentioned that you went shopping at the mall. Which stores did you visit for your shopping? What did you purchase? Are there any receipts available? In our tranquil upper-middle-class suburb, the night shift unfolds with a serene stillness where little transpires. The detective approached the situation as if it were the dramatic comeback of Bonnie and Clyde. Lisa concealed her face in her hands, overwhelmed by a wave of emotion as she wept quietly. Mrs. Carter, you have the option to respond now, or we can proceed to the station. He was crafting an exquisite trap. Mrs. Carter, would you prefer that your husband step out for a moment? She gently shook her head in refusal. Mrs. Carter, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the Paradise Hotel records videos of every guest and their vehicle upon arrival. I'll be getting a copy of the surveillance tomorrow morning, so if you wish to revise your statement, now would be the time to do it. I could see the vitality fading from Lisa's face. The haughty woman who abruptly ended our conversation at the hotel was no longer present. I could hardly catch her words when she inquired, "Do I need a lawyer?" You must begin to speak the truth immediately, the police officer insisted. Stillness. Are you aware that I have the authority to arrest you for submitting a false police report? David, I deeply apologize. I only told a falsehood to spare you from pain. Then the tale of her affair poured forth from her lips. Although I was aware of the conclusion, the words pierced my very being. I was weeping so intensely that I had to take a seat, or my legs would have surely given way beneath me. Upon completing her task, she turned to me, her gaze filled with a desperate yearning for compassion. I averted my gaze in revulsion. Detective O'Connor has verified McAcree's phone number and his workplace. She was unaware of his home address and remarked, I believe I have all that I require. Will you be taking me into custody? She inquired. I have a meeting scheduled with the state's attorney tomorrow morning. That will be his decision. As he departed, Lisa crumpled to the floor, overwhelmed by her tears and wailing in despair. I deeply regret causing you pain. Lisa was gesticulating wildly to underscore her points. David, my affection for you knows no bounds. My intentions were never to cause you pain. Are you aware of what you're expressing? You're not expressing regret for your infidelity. Regret only surfaces when the truth is unveiled. Well, would you believe it? You definitely found yourself in a tight spot. You've been caught. Today, I received a video that I'd like to share with you. You might want to take a seat. I guided her to the couch and assisted her in taking a seat. Her body quivered with an unmistakable intensity. I pressed the power button, and our high-definition television came alive with vibrant clarity. Lisa collapsed in disbelief as she viewed the footage of her car entering the hotel parking lot. As I sat there, anticipating her return to awareness, I powered up my laptop and forwarded the identical video to Mrs. Alan Macquarie. I followed this up with a phone call, urging her to open the attachment if she wished to understand the reason for her husband's tardiness this evening. The sounds of children echoed in the background. I sincerely apologize, but it's crucial that you view this at your earliest convenience. I lingered above my soon-to-be ex-wife, biding my time. She regained consciousness as the video played once more. She appeared completely unresponsive. Her eyes appeared vacant and tinged with red. Her face was streaked with tears. The remnants of her makeup transformed her into a parody of the stunning woman I once adored. She gazed in captivated dread as her treachery unfolded. I viewed this video multiple times, wishing it would reveal itself as a cruel prank. The emotions that wash over me when I see you pick up my call are beyond words. Your laughter echoes in my ears as you hang up and lean in for another kiss with him. Her words were lost in the chaos as she crawled towards me, finally collapsing at my feet, tears streaming down her face. She extended her hand to make contact with me. I shifted my legs away from her grasp. "Stay away from me, you deceitful and unclean woman," I shouted. She erupted into a piercing cry, echoing through the air. Just a little over 5 minutes passed when Lisa's cell phone began to ring. I snatched it from the table, the caller ID displayed as blocked. I replied softly, "Alan," before switching it to speaker mode. The deception was successful. Macquarie believed it was Lisa. "What on earth is happening, you deceitful woman?" he shouted. "My wife was furious with me for having an affair and kicked me out. This situation is entirely on you." I ended the call with him. "What a fool. You certainly have a knack for choosing him." Lisa's body started to shake uncontrollably. She attempted to speak, yet the sounds had lost their way to transform into words. "If you believe your day can't possibly take a turn for the worse, I just opened my attaché case. I have a little surprise for you." At the pinnacle of the pile of business documents lay a paper emblazoned with the words, "Petition for Dissolution of Marriage," in striking bold letters across the top. I passed a copy to Lisa. She began emitting peculiar gasping sounds. "I trust he was worth the effort. Now please step away from me. Your presence is repulsive to me." And so concludes the tale for today. If you found it enjoyable, kindly give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support enables the algorithm to amplify my content's reach. If you're just joining us, be sure to click that subscribe button. Your support truly inspires me to continue crafting more tales for you. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to our next encounter.